Everyone in town distrusted Arneen, even from a distance. He strode tilted forward as though battling a strong wind, moving quickly and silently, and he was never without his little box. He was a time collector. He captured little bits and flattened them out and sealed them under glass. He preferred private, unsettling moments, the smallest, the shyest, the rarest, luring them in with his crooked smile like a fly fisherman with a feathered tie, clapping them shut in his black box, and never, ever asking permission beforehand. Because as soon as you asked permission, you entered the moment yourself, stained it with your presence, and altered it irrevocably. What he wanted was the essence, pure and unaltered, the captured moments quivering with their former lives, lined the walls of his house. It was early last spring that things changed for Arneen. In the midst of capturing a woman's gasp as she discovered her husband in bed with another woman, he felt a small sting on his right index finger. At first, he thought a mosquito had bitten him, and then the finger swelled until it became impossible to bend, and he decided it was a spider bite. But even the doctors could find no sign of any penetration of the skin. Within a week, Arneen's hand had swelled like a balloon, and the swelling began traveling up his arm, and he discovered, having finally checked his black box, that he had not captured that particular moment after all. That was when he began to fear that the moment had captured him in the only way that moments can, by infecting his body, infecting his soul, a subversive infection that came from the moment coiled in his head, over and over the woman's white face. At the end of 2 weeks, it became difficult for him to breathe, and Arneen wondered if the moment of the gasp was exacting revenge on behalf of all the other captured moments. Perhaps the gasp was even now attempting to flatten him and seal him under glass. At that thought, he stiffened and went still. When his housekeeper discovered him in his favorite chair, his hands splayed and his mouth half open, she called the ambulance. The paramedics lay Arneen flat onto the stretcher, administering shocks with a defibrillator and oxygen through a ventilator, and rushed him to the hospital. Here he went into a coma, his frozen expression one of placid horror. And thus he remained. Most everyone was relieved that, at last, they were free to go about their private business unobserved without Arneen stealing up with his little box. Some said that Arneen deserved the coma. Then, one morning, people woke to find all the chairs missing from their porches, and the next morning discovered that someone had sliced the heads of all the tulips in the park. And by the end of the week, in each and every street twitched a dying dog. No one knew who was responsible or why. And people began creeping up on their neighbors in case they were the culprits, and walking backwards in case something else entirely was about to happen. And the misunderstandings and collisions multiplied, and the knives, and Arneen, no longer ruthless, quivered in his bed.